Coming out early for this. I want to recognize a couple things. Caesar, former board member of the San Gabriel Pomona Valley chapter, and many of you might not know that Judy Chu was also on our board that is based there in Pasadena, but Judy served us as a board member for a long time. We have something in common with San Gabriel, our chapter does, because we're celebrating our 100th birthday coming up in 2014. So I know your community is celebrating 100 years of community service. The mission of the American Red Cross is to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of donors. Red Cross is my career choice because of a couple reasons. 97% of our work is done by volunteers. And there's not too many organizations that can say that nationwide. That's a statistic that we're very proud of. And 92 cents in every dollar goes back to services that we provide to people. We collect, process, and distribute over 40% of the nation's blood supply, and that's remarkable. Our #1 blood center is located just in Pomona, in a state-of-the-art 200,000 square foot facility, 1,300 employees operating 24/7. So that's a major thing here in the San Gabriel Valley. You might not know that we have a very active youth program with over 150 youth clubs in the Los Angeles County area. And it's important to teach our youth the need to get involved with their community, either as a donor or as a volunteer. We have a ton of kids involved with it, and it's an important part of what we do. International services, you might know that at times of war or crisis, we're there evaluating and giving reports, and that's an important thing. We also do tracing, international tracing, and those services have really touched a lot of people. We do service of military families. We talk to military families before one of them are deployed and stand by them at times when they're having trouble. So that's a good thing. Our national organization was formed by Clara Barton in 1881, so we've been around for a while. And what most people don't know is you see us when there's a big disaster like a flood or a tornado. We're in the news all the time. What you don't see is in an average of every day, there's 2 home fires or apartment fires that we respond to with volunteers. And the fire department's the ones who activate us coming out. They'll evaluate what the resident has and what they don't have. And if they don't have any place to go, if they don't have family or insurance, the fire department will call us. And within 2 hours, typically about an hour, we have volunteers on the scene, all volunteers. And they provide the victims with enough funds to provide them with hotel lodging, food, and clothing. And then we follow up with them the next day with counseling. And the counseling is, again, a volunteer position that is done by people who are committed to the Red Cross. These volunteers that get up in the middle of the night are getting up without knowing who they're going to be seeing, and they don't know them, they never will know them again, but they're getting up because they know it's a good thing to do. And every time they go out, they come back with a renewed passion for what they're doing and how they're helping people. And I can tell you from talking to these folks who are victims, how much they appreciate it, because they had nowhere else to go. And we're doing this across the country every day. I want to talk about the preparedness campaign. It's a campaign that is 3 years in length. And we have a slogan saying the real disaster is not being prepared. And that's important. The Prepare SoCal campaign, which is an umbrella, you've probably seen on ABC7, it's one of our media partners. And under the umbrella of Prepare SoCal, we have Prepare LA, Prepare San Gabriel Valley, and Prepare Santa Monica, Prepare Antelope Valley, Prepare Glendale. So preparedness is really important because it does save lives. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. We are building our capacity to respond to a major event which involves 2 million people being displaced and 18,000 fatalities. So we're anticipating that might happen at any time. In anticipation of that, we're working on this preparedness campaign to build our capacity to respond to those things. For example, before the event happens, we have agreements in place with many vendors, food vendors, housing vendors, tent companies, and facilities, so that if we have an event, we can activate those agreements, and we're not meeting people for the first time the day of the event. So we're preparing for it. Only 6% of LA County residents are prepared for a disaster. And that's from the LA County Health Department, gives that statistic, 6%. So 94% of people are not prepared. And that's very troubling. When we do have a major disaster, families will lose contact with their loved ones. If you don't have a plan in place, and you've got grandchildren or children or spouses, and you don't know where you're going to meet, the communications may be down. So you need to make those plans ahead of time. You can say, okay, we're going to meet at our child's school, and you stay there, child, until we come get you. And that's a good thing. Having an outside communication with a family relative living outside the area so you can call out. It's a lot easier to call out and call in than calling within the LA County if something bad happens here. Shelters are not pharmacies. A lot of you, including myself, are on medications. If we don't have a supply of medications, we're going to be in trouble. Because if you need medications to make your life a little bit easier for your health, you should have those. Documents are important. If you don't have copies of the documents that you need, that's important to have. And cash is king. ATMs may be down. If you have cash, you're going to be in a better position. So these things, as well as many other things, are available to you. And Red Cross has made free apps for your smartphone or for your computer. Just go to Red Cross apps on your app exchange, and there's about 5 of them. And we have it in Spanish and in Chinese, the apps that can help you make your plan. It gives you quizzes talking about what you should do, what you shouldn't do in times of disaster. You know, people count on first responders. And in LA County, we've got some of the best responders in the whole country. We're looked upon as having the best fire and police in the whole country. But let me give you some statistics. There's one EMT for every 374 people. There's one firefighter for 280 people. So if you're going to wait and count on them coming to help you, you're out of luck. You've got to take care of yourself. And that's an important message to give to you. People get prepared. Usually, the ones more likely to get prepared, the 6%, they've been through an earthquake before. So they've experienced what it's like to wake up to an earthquake and not being prepared. So this time they're prepared. So it's important to do that. The other thing is hearing the message from multiple sources. We're not the only one who push the preparedness. Fire departments do it, PERT training, all those things push the notion of being prepared. Number one thing you need at a time of disaster is water. If water's cut off, you're in trouble. When the second, third day rolls around, they're not going to be people coming to hand you a bottle of water. You have to have your own water, and that's important. And we keep a big supply of water at our house. I'm not going to give you my address because you'll be coming over from us. So the resources we're building include shelter space. We work with the Rose Bowl, the Santa Anita Park, Pomona Fairground. We're talking to them as to what they can do for us and the community when a big disaster happens. We're working with the schools. We've opened up several shelters here locally when there's fires. You might know about that. Sometimes that catches a little bit of attention. But typically our home fires, people go to, we put them up in hotels close to where they live. We're working on increasing the amount of trained volunteers. In disaster, there's like 24 career ladders volunteers can sign up for. And within the 24 career ladders, there's different steps on the ladder. And they move up the step based upon their experience and their training. And one of the things we do real well is we train folks. So people move up the ladder, and we need to have a large supply of leaders in the volunteer ranks to be able to coordinate all the efforts of the regular volunteers who haven't had that training. When people they check their family out first, which is very natural, very normal, and make sure their family's okay. Then they're willing and wanting to help. And we call them spontaneous volunteers. They have not had any training formally, but they certainly can give out water. They can help with mops and things of that, and brooms. When we have the floods after the fires, we have a lot of spontaneous volunteers who want to help out. And we're building a program to make the most effective use of those volunteers at this time. Our Chinese friends, the culture is somewhat when there's an earthquake, to run out of the building, to get away. And that will put your life at risk. What we recommend, and the Chinese particularly, there's been studies on this, that's not an opinion, I'm just telling you there's studies. And if we can teach people of all nationalities to duck, cover, and hold. Basically what you're doing is getting under your table, your desk, so that the earthquake itself is not going, our building standards here are such that we're not going to see a lot of collapsed buildings. But we will see is fatalities from things flying off the wall. And you can do something about that in your office and your home by making sure that things that are heavy are not high on your wall. A lot of people have on their back bedboard, the back of the headboard of their bed, things that's going to hurt them if they fall. Ceiling fans, when they fall, will hurt you. So that's what we expect. So by ducking and covering and holding, that's what we recommend, and we need to get that message out to all the people, and particularly our Chinese friends. Home inspections, we talked a little bit about that. Supplies, need to have the water, need to make your plan. In order to do this, people really need to believe that it can happen. If you don't believe it's not going to happen, then forget the whole preparedness. But if you think it could happen, then you should get involved. People believe, I know what to do, and believe that will help. Well, you can always learn better and more things. I know others are doing something for me. Don't count on that. The people are going to take care of themselves. And we've got some programs to address that. And then we also want to increase businesses' awareness of what they can do in the workplace. Resources, I want to talk a minute about resources. And if you hand me that big brochure there, big one. This is unbelievable. I love this thing. It's called Map Your Neighborhood. And you got OK on one side, and you got another on the other side that says help. But this is something that we don't have enough for you today, but we're printing a bunch of them. And we'll get those maybe through Caesar to you. We're printing them in Spanish and in Chinese. So they're going to be available to you if you'd like to have them. There's 9 steps to take if you live in a neighborhood. And where realtors can get involved is if you have a neighborhood association and you get trained on this, you can actually present this to your association. You can go to associations and ask them if they want preparation. And this program is very good. It's coupled with a CD that helps people understand. But there's 9 steps involved. The first step is take care of your loved one. Second is dress for safety. Number one issue when people have an earthquake, the injuries they have is on their feet because they don't have shoes on. They get out of their bed and they walk across and there's broken glass. And there's nothing worse than having a hunk of broken glass on your foot when you're trying to work with your family and so forth. $5, man. Where's the time? Up? $5. The third thing is check for gas leaks if you have gas leaks. I think we know that. Shut off the water. Place the help or OK sign in your window, and that's what that's designed for. Put fire extinguishers on the sidewalk. If you don't have a fire in your home, share with your neighbors. Put it on the sidewalk for others to be able to use. Gather at a neighborhood site. Form teams and begin working. So in my complex, I live in the Rose Court in Pasadena, and there's 88 homes in that complex, I believe. So in that situation, we would meet at the pool, and the ones who have taken care of their family and done all those things want to help. And then we split up into 4 teams. And what's beautiful about this is you don't rely upon one person being in charge. When you get there, because what person you have in charge might not be there. They might be on vacation, might be on a business trip. So this Map Your Neighborhood program is ideal because you split into 4 teams. Team 1 listens to radios and public information and keeps neighbors informed on what's going on. Because that's one of the questions you have, is what else is happening within our region? Is it worse here or better here? What is going on? The second is check on neighbors who are young and old. So mapping your neighborhood identifies what houses there are and who's older and who's younger, and you send a team out to look and to make sure they're okay. If they are, okay, you bring them to a common place where they can be together. Because if in situations like this, there's a lot of stress and anxiety, so having them together is important. You have another team that shuts off the gas, and another team that checks on homes that have help signs. So there's 4 specific things that happen in a neighborhood. And this Map Your Neighborhood is a great program for that. and you can get more information through Caesar. I'm going to give him supply, so your next upcoming meetings, you'll have that for you. The second thing I want to tell you about in terms of a resource is Ready Rating. This was funded by Anheuser-Busch out of St. Louis. It's 7 years old. It's been tweaked, so it applies to lots of different businesses. And it's a free program. It's online, and it does an assessment on how ready your office or your store location is for a disaster. It walks you through 68 questions about your preparedness level. And it's confidential. If you want to share it, you can. But if you want to learn how you can get better at being prepared, Ready Rating is for you, because it's free and it's confidential. It takes a little bit of time, but it's well worth it. At least you know you got that done. 82% of people agree if someone made it easy, they would do it. Now, one of the things we want to do eventually with your group is come with backpacks and let you purchase backpacks. And one of the things you might want to consider, when I buy a house, the realtor usually gives a gift back. You might want to give an earthquake preparedness kit back, or a first aid kit where they can either keep it in their car or their home or their office. 15 to 40% of businesses fail after a disaster. Katrina, we had up to 40% of those businesses fail. And other communities don't have that high of rate, and you have to ask yourself why, and the answer is that they're prepared. They know what to do. I don't know how many, I'm sure that the realty profession has their information on the cloud. That's one thing. Back in the old days, we used to have it on servers, and that's moved away. But if you're a server, you're counting on your server to provide information. We have an earthquake. You might not ever see that information again. So storing things on the cloud is a good idea. 50% of Americans believe that if their business supports the Red Cross preparedness, that's a good corporate citizen. And so a lot of businesses do that. Incidentally, Wells Fargo, ladies from Wells Fargo, raise your hand. They're one of our biggest supporters of the Prepare campaign, and we appreciate that. David DiCristofaro, do you know David?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a good friend of the Red Cross and serves on the board at LA, and a good man. How can you help get your family prepared, get your business prepared, become an ambassador? We're looking for ambassadors. Caesar's going to be an ambassador. Ambassador is basically a volunteer leader from a community that learns about the Red Cross and then speaks on our behalf. So if Caesar was ambassador at this point, he'd be up here delivering this speech. So we're looking for ambassadors. If you're interested, you let me know. Become a volunteer. There's lots of ways in which you can volunteer. And the last thing is become a donor. Support us financially, because we don't get money from the government. A lot of people think government funds us. It's the generosity of the American public that funds us. And believe me, American public is very generous at times of disaster. Here in California, we had those big fires down in San Diego. We got more money than what we could spend. And we met with the nonprofits and distribute that money out so they can continue their services as people recover. You know you've done your part if you're ready yourself, your family's ready, your neighbors are ready, your coworkers are ready, and if you know your community's taking action together, then you're ready for these disasters. Again, it's something that can save your life and save the lives of people that you love and care about. So I really encourage you to get involved with the Red Cross. There's on the web, we've got preparesocal.org, and that gives you all the tips on how to prepare and what you need to have in your supply. You know, I was talking to a lady, and she had her preparedness bag, and you don't have to buy it from the Red Cross. You can make it yourself and have all the items in there. You can buy them at 99-cent store and those kind of things. Start building that and having that available. But she was showing me that in the bag, there was a fifth of Jack Daniels. And I said, what's that for? She said, that's for my husband who gets nervous at times of disaster. So it's kind of fun, and you don't need it. It's like insurance. You don't need it until it happens. But I hope I have encouraged you to take a look at it. ReadyRating.org. Those kind of things are all available. But if you go to preparesocal.org, you'll have all the information that you need. And I've got some information up here, but I'd be happy to talk to you. If you got a business card, I can put you on a list so you can get some information on a regular basis about the Red Cross. Thank you so much, and open up for any questions.
Any questions? No? Yes, we're all, okay. Up to the mic, please. To the mic. Ben, go to the mic.
There's no mic.
Oh, okay.
But my voice is loud enough.
Well, there's a mic here.
What?
There's a mic here. Wow.
Good morning, Sharon. Thank you for all the useful and valuable information. My name is Ben with Coldwell Banker George in Alhambra. It's not actually a question, it's just some sort of suggestion. I haven't seen any mandatory course from elementary school all the way to colleges and to universities. Wouldn't it be better to just put this type of information and activity as a mandatory course? Thank you.
Thank you for that suggestion. It's a little difficult in that we don't have, unless legislation passes that would require schools to do that. But schools have got a full curriculum. They're not looking for things to add. They're looking for things to take away from. But I appreciate that. That would be ideal if we could do that.